We've been working on the reopen plan. This is by no means a final document. I think we've changed it up until like 3 o'clock today. It's a working document, but we're getting closer, I think, to finalizing the document. We've sent it out to teachers for feedback. We've sent it out to staff for feedback. We posted it on the website for parents for feedback. We have changed some key things in here. If you read it a couple of weeks ago, I guess some of the key things we changed are instead of the other headings, we went to a green, yellow, and red. Instead of like low to minimal spread, we just went green, yellow, and red. Every teacher knows what that means in terms of response to intervention. So we're gonna maintain that scheme. So green means we're go. We're planning on coming back. As we were before COVID, with some exceptions. We plan on checking temperatures when kids enter the building. We're currently working, we don't have them written yet, but we're working on protocols for testing students, testing staff. All staff will be tested, like temperature taken when they enter the building. And what happens if we have a student that turns up positive with the temperature reading? How do we handle that? The teachers have kind of been meeting, working on the specifics of what is instruction going to look like when we come back to school. The state is requiring us to submit a continuous learning plan, so they can make sure that we're actually educating students, I guess. But they've been working on that. They've been coming in groups working on that. I think the group that met this morning got an entire section done. That's due July 24th. But I can tell you that, there's more happening than what you're seeing right here in this document and on service. This is just kind of the protocol on how we're going to keep the community informed on where we're at. The other big change was in this section right here, the public health framework for reopening. We originally had that listed as a rate of infection. We changed that yesterday. Shane, David, Ron, did we change that yesterday? Yeah, we changed that. Yeah, well, we changed it Monday. Yeah, yesterday. Sorry, I don't know what day it is. So we changed that yesterday so that if you're familiar with the EPICURVS website that's published by the state, you can actually go and look and see the rates in Hawkins County. There's a threshold limit on that EPICURVS website, a rate of infection of 10, I think it's like 10 per 100 knowledge. Anyway, we've changed it to match that. As long as we're below that threshold on that website, that EPICURVS website, we were planning on opening, in full classroom mode. The minute it goes over 10, then we'll go into hybrid mode. And we're still kind of trying to work on what exactly does that hybrid mode look like. We've been talking about a lot of options. Ideally, we want to focus on making sure that our lower grades have as much face-to-face classroom time with the teacher as possible. And then maybe moving to more hybrid models as we move on up. I do want to talk a little bit, unless somebody else on the leadership team wants to talk about it, on kind of what we're working on, kind of see the vision of where we want to be as a school district. What else? Ron, you want to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it? You want me to talk about it? So, Rogersville City School is a small, intimate enough school district that we would like to get our teachers to a point where they're delivering instruction both in class, so for students that are in class, and live streaming that while they're teaching it in class to students that might be attending from home. So ideally, if we can pull it off, and we're trying to pull it off, right, Jennifer? We're trying to get them trained. Get them to a point where they're comfortable, like when they come in on a regular day to teach their schedule. They have students in that classroom, and they may have 4 or 5 students up on a screen like this that are attending from home. So there may be 5 faces up on that screen. So they're delivering their instruction, they're delivering it in real time. They've got students in the classroom, they've got students on a screen. And we're still kind of trying to work out the kinks of how do we post information, how do we post lessons, how do we record for students that may not be able to attend at that moment in time. We're really trying to give the teachers a lot of flexibility with what that looks like. What does it look like for who's in the classroom? How do they decide who's in the classroom? They know they're gonna have some students that will probably be okay. We know we have parents that really want the online format. David and Shane sent out a survey last week. It's last week. Again, I don't even know what day it is today. So unless we're in school, I sent out a survey last week, and it looks like polling our parents that we could have upwards of 20% of our students, K through 8, whose parents want an online option. That's a little over 100 kids, K through 8. So the surprising part of that survey was when we got it back, surprised all of us, that it seemed like the largest number of, the largest percentages of parents that wanted their students to be online was at that lower level, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. So we're just trying to get our teachers to a point of being like, trying to get them to a point where we're not asking them to change a whole heck of a lot. Other than, getting them comfortable with, I've got students here and I've got students here. And how do I manage that daily interaction between students up there and students here? And we're keeping our fingers crossed. That's kind of the bigger vision of where we're wanting to head as a school district. A lot of the districts out there are they're offering online formats, but they're offering it through programs like Edgenuity or SLI or PLP or other programs like that. We want our teachers to teach. We want them to teach how they've always taught. We want them to teach what they've always taught, and we want to provide that to all of our students. Questions?
Sounds like you got a good plan going.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
So you could potentially gain students, could you potentially gain students from outside the district? I mean, that might otherwise be homeschooled that could say, I wanna go with Rogersville City.
As long as they apply.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no tuition.
Yeah. Talk about what you heard from somebody
I
else.
was talking to some families over the weekend about Mr. Stroder's vision, and my niece who lives in Knoxville kind of perked up and said, "Really?" She said, "I may send my kids to Rogersville City." And that's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, this is it's vision, but it's simple. You think of it so complicated, but it's simple. And it can be done.
Once the teacher gets used to it, it won't be any extra added lesson plans or anything like that. You'll just, as the next teacher, it just sounds better than anything I've heard or read about.
It's different, and it's a different format.
Teachers have to stay.
And we all know there's students that can't function very well online, or there's students that don't have internet access. We're planning on creating opportunities for those students to be in class with their teacher.
And can I add one other thing? I've talked to a lot of other districts about this on virtual academies and things like that. The one thing that, they do offer you an opportunity to go to school through an online virtual school. but you can't get in virtual schools what you can get going here. And I just call it the heart. You know, these kids that are potentially gonna be online are gonna be a part of this school. Not these virtual academies where they sign up and they're teachers in Wyoming or one up in New York or something like that they're not connected. And you know, these are people we go to the store and see, and they're a part of it. And that's one thing you can't replace.
And there'll be some limitations on that. Like, we're not gonna ask teachers to teach, 60 kids. That's not what we wanna do. I think if we get to that point, we talk about hiring more people to teach online. But, I just think we're in a day and age where, we don't wanna be where we were in April again. Like, we don't wanna be in a place where the state says, shut down, and we panic. And now we've gotta figure out what we're gonna do. I think with this format, if we can get our teachers comfortable with it, I think that's an easy transition for them. I'm not foreseeing closing the doors for teachers as long as the state doesn't require me to. Like, if the rate of infection gets bad enough, like over 20 in Hawkins County, then, we may go a full online option, but we're still gonna allow our teachers to come into their classroom and teach from that classroom, broadcasting to the students, just like they teach on a daily basis. They got 20 faces up here now instead of 20 faces in their classroom.
I think it's a wonderful idea. Because I think this pandemic has forever changed a lot of the way we're thinking. You've got to think outside the box, and if it's education, if it's healthcare, if it's whatever it is.
Yeah, if we get closed, we want to be at a point where we're like, okay, we're closing tomorrow, everybody else see you online. Tomorrow, you're all up there.
I think the interaction with the students and their teachers is very important. Whether it be one-on-one in the classroom, or at least seeing the face.
There's no doubt that the best form of instruction, the best form of pedagogy is in the classroom with a teacher on a personal level. That's just hands down the best way to educate kids. But, we learned really quick back in April what happens when you get that taken away from you.
Yeah.
Right? So, this isn't ideal, but it's as close to that as you can get without it being in the classroom. And hopefully, it sounds like the state is not going to tell local districts that you can't have kids in the school. We're just going to try to be flexible with it and monitor it so that, we know there's going to be students that can be successful at that. We'll try to structure it so that's who we have. The ones that can handle it successfully, the ones who can't, we've got them in the classroom.
I think it'll take a little effort and to get used to by the teachers, because that's a big deal to stay put in front of a webcam.
It'll take some work figuring out how to set up a Zoom meeting, allow students to participate.
It's kind of hard to go over and check a paper if somebody hit the screen. So, see, teacher?
Sounds like we've got everything going in the right direction, and it's certainly being flexible, and, I commend all the personnel for the hard work that you put into it. It's an unusual time, but I think applying just some good old common sense in some of the things, we can get it done. All right, anything else? Really?
So we're still planning to open on August the 10th, as scheduled.
Yes,
Half a day or a whole day?
we're in green today.
In green today.
Yes.
Half a day or a whole day?
Regular schedule, just like we did before.
All right.
Regular schedule.
Okay. That's good. Anything that's regular, normal, that's good. All right, that brings us to item number I, which is adjournment, which we.